Recognize that tune, and you know it's time for Digging with Seven and Tennessee Jeff. Join us for the next hour as we talk metal detecting and relic hunting. Join in the chat and post any comments or questions you might have, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. You're listening to RELICS Radio on Spreaker. All right, it's Thursday night again, and we are live on RELICS Radio. Appreciate everybody joining us tonight for our broadcast. We got a good one coming up tonight. Introduce the guys here in just a moment, but first of all, let me get a little bit of stuff out of the way. I want to remind everyone, first of all, that our 2017 Christmas giveaway contest, in conjunction with Josh Kimmel, with Beyond Sight and Sound and Ohio Metal Detecting, and Digging with Seven and Tennessee Jeff, our Christmas giveaway with the Mind Lab Go Find 40 that we're going to give to some lucky kid. That contest ends tomorrow, and sometime tomorrow afternoon we will go live and we will give that metal detector away to some lucky kid. I can only imagine whenever I was a kid having an opportunity to get something like that. I'll tell you, that would have been a treat. But anyway, that ends tomorrow, and so you've still got time tonight and during the day tomorrow. It'd probably be tomorrow afternoon before we officially end the contest. Not sure when, but I would say it'd probably be around 4 o'clock Central Standard Time. But anyway, if you know a kid, a nephew, a grandchild, a neighbor, we don't care who enters. You just have to be 15 or under and live in the lower 48 of the United States. And so we're really looking forward to that, and we certainly do. Thanks, Josh Kimmel with Beyond Sight and Sound, for all the help that he's been with us teaming up on that. I hope that we can do something else again. Tonight, Tennessee Jeff and I, and I've got all the guys on the line here tonight. I think we've got all of our phone problems kind of worked out. We got everything kind of filled up. Jeff, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me, Seven?
I hear you loud and clear. We've got a good show tonight. Good.
We do. We really do. How's this weather? You liking it?
No, well, I like it better. I like it better than I do the weather that we were in whenever we were hunting the dirt pile in Gallatin. We scalded up there. Yeah. But
I still got a sunburn from that.
Yeah, it's a little bit cold though, I tell you. But we got a good program tonight. We got a couple of guys with us. They call themselves Dig Dogs. Ron and Tim off down at Murfreesboro. And I had the pleasure the other night, Tuesday night, I guess it was, of going down there and meeting with all of those guys. Of course, Jeff and I met some of those at the Middle Tennessee Metal Detecting Club. Mm-hmm. And I had the opportunity. We were supposed to both go, but Jeff's got some back problems right now that he's dealing with, and he didn't get to go. But I went, and it was a wonderful experience. And we've got Ron and Tim on tonight. Are you guys on the line over there?
We are. It's good to talk with you guys.
Good to have you on tonight. Tim, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks for having us.
I tell you, you guys are just about in the same shape that me and Jeff are. Tim just had surgery, didn't you, Tim?
Yeah, right at 2.5 weeks ago. So I had knee surgery to get had to get my ball joint straightened out there. It was out of alignment just a little bit.
Yeah. How long are you going to be down?
They said about 6 weeks to get back to, being good and stable. But every day's better. I'm doing real good, so I'm gonna hold them to that 6 weeks or a little sooner.
Yeah, we're assigning Tim all the research.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, good time to research. And actually, I just recently became I'm a metal detector dealer also, and I just recently obtained XP and macro line, and so I went ahead and ordered me an XP and spent the last couple of weeks memorizing the manual, so I'll be ready to use it when I get going here.
Oh man, you'll be ready. You'll be all fired up, won't you?
Man, I'm fired up. I'm ready to go.
Isn't it fun?
Oh yeah, I've got that macro racer too, and I mean it's a good detector. I mean it's the recovery on it. So
yeah, I was thinking about getting one of those from Tim. So now that he's got that dealership, I can maybe get one.
Yeah, I mean, what a friend deal right there.
Discount.
Yeah,
Friend discount.
yeah.
Well, I have to demo every unit so I know how it works, so I can speak intelligently to a potential customer, and a lot of times I need help with that too. So that's where Ron comes in. As a matter of fact, we've got a Tesoro De Leon that Tesoro sent me actually a month and a half back. They knew I had a surgery coming up, so they're being patient with me, but I need to get out and demo that thing and do a video for them.
Yeah, you and I talked about that the other night at the meeting. Yep. And that it'd be interesting to work with one of those a little bit and kind of see what kind of I've heard good things about them. In fact, I hunted with a guy probably a couple of years ago, and he had one. And he did well with it that day that we hunted. Me and Ron got out a little bit Tuesday before the meeting and hit an old house, and we Civil War place that you guys have hunted a little bit, and found some Civil War bullets. And I took my GPX, but I tell you what, Jeff, I bet you there were 10,000 little pieces of copper wire that really sounded good in that spot.
Kid.
Yeah,
man.
And then
it sounded like somebody just walked out and threw a bunch out.
That's what it felt like. I tell you what, I dug about 1 million holes, and then finally put it up and got my AT Pro, and then we got up around the house. Just about quitting time, wasn't it, Ron?
It was. It's at the end, like sometimes it goes, huh?
Yeah, and we got into a little hot spot there and found a little bit of stuff. He found one Civil War bullet, but then we found some other older stuff,
Yeah, well, sure wish I could have been there. It sounds like a great time.
That's where we should have started out, like you said.
Yeah, we should have started up around the house. Sure should have. I was impressed with your metal detecting club, and I couldn't believe how many people that y'all had there Tuesday night.
Well, that's nice. It's really growing quickly, isn't it, Tim? I mean, every week we're getting more. This is our start of our third year, I think. And, Tim and I kind of did that together, so we talked about it. Tim was selling detectors, and so Tim was meeting a lot of people, and I got to meet some people with him as we metal detected and whatnot. And we just said, we really didn't want to drive an hour, so we just tucked our heads down and started a club. I think we had like 20 people to start. We went down to maybe 10 that first year, but we've been doubling each year. So it's been a real good experience with a lot of good folks. It's a real nice place to meet, and helps you learn about other detectors and better techniques, and you just learn all kinds of stuff. So it's really, really good.
We don't want to get too carried away that we don't watch our chat. Who we got in the chat so far, Sydney?
We have Larry Stevens. He says, "Hey guys." Paul Forsyth says this is his first time here.
Well, welcome,
so we're
Paul.
Glad to have him.
Well, Glad to have you.
And Dave Miller is on. He says hi to everybody.
Well, good.
How you doing, Dave?
We got a few in there. But yeah, I was impressed with your club. And Ron, you were the president of that club. Is that correct?
I was for the first 2 years, so we just passed that over to James Pastors, taking it over. So as our club grows, we're trying to get more people involved, and so James stepped up, which is awesome. And the more people that step up in a club like that, the more that you can do, because people don't realize it does take a lot of time to put that together and keep things rolling. But we're starting to get more people interested in, being, secretary or president, vice president, all those different things that need to happen. So that's really good sign for our club, I think.
It is. And Jeff and I met your new president at Nashville whenever we were there. And I'm impressed with him. He seems like a really great guy, and seems like that he is, he wants to get things going.
He does. He wants to help it grow, and that's what we want to do. And get new people in there, help them learn. If they're brand new to the hobby, help them learn how to metal detect. Give them little techniques, because people can get frustrated. when they first start. Obviously, you can dig a lot of trash and get frustrated real easy.
Yeah, it is. And, we, there the other night, I stuck around and they let me speak. I spoke a little bit, not too long in any, I didn't have any agenda or any topic really that I wanted to talk about. But I did open the floor and ask questions, and goodness gracious, it felt like I talked for an hour, but I don't know exactly how long it was, but that was great. I mean, there are no dumb questions, whenever when you're talking about metal detecting, because I don't care if you're talking to a first-time hunter, they can teach you something if you'll listen, if you're not so hard-headed that you won't listen. And there were a lot of good questions that came out there the other night, and, I hope that I addressed all of those.
You did. I thought you did really well, and I was really proud of the club, I guess. I thought they asked some good questions, and everybody was involved, and you did a real good job of answering. I did GoPro some of that, so I'll probably put some of that up on the next video we post with our hunt.
Okay. Yeah, I seen you with GoPro. Who we got in now, Sydney? Who's come in?
We have Jessie Lynn Reed. She says, "Hey, Dad."
Yeah, that's my daughter.
that's Tim's daughter.
Dave says that they're decorating sugar cookies.
Dave said what?
That they're decorating sugar cookies.
Oh, well, when we had Keebs on, we shot some cookies through the internet.
We did,
didn't we?
Yeah,
Jeff?
the teleporter.
Yeah, the teleporter.
Yeah, we sure did.
We shot them right into Keeb's room, so we might get Dave to try and shoot us some cookies over here then.
Seven tried to send them 2 or 3 times, but he kept on eating them all, and Keebs wasn't getting them. So
yeah.
But you were talking earlier about a lot of questions asked, and there's no dumb questions. Well, I mean, I've been relic hunting quite a while, and then, of course, I know you guys have too. And you talk to other people at like different clubs, and you still learn something. Every time you go relic hunting, most of the time you learn something different. And I mean, if you don't, then you must know everything. But every time I go relic hunting, I learn something and talk to other people, and then especially with different detectors, and then we'll try this, try that, especially with the GPX. People's well, try this setting with this neutral ground, and try this setting with the red clay ground, and then just do like that. And then, you do learn something every time that you go.
Yeah, and I think that Ron and Tim are, I know Ron is, he talked to me the other day, was kind of interested in maybe getting a GPX. And, You know that?
I was, and I appreciate you showing me some tips and showing me, let me listen to signals and what you're hearing.
Yeah, that wasn't a good place. I've got a spot up here, and whenever you can get free and come up here, and then that's all we'll do. We'll just take you can bring a detector, but I mean, I'll just let you listen to different things. Got somebody else in today?
Matt Purdue says, "Evening, folks."
Hey, Matt. We got Matt in the house. Matt's in a great place down there. He got the button tree down there and got that sandy soil. Have you guys ever seen the stuff that comes out of the ground that Matt digs?
I have. It looks very nice, boys.
I tell you.
Oh yeah, that sandy soil. I mean, it's real good on the relics.
It is. But anyway, Tim, Ron, I'll have you up here, and I'm still learning mine every day. Of course, Jeff's had one for quite a while, but he's still learning his. If he tells you the truth, you never completely learn that machine. Or as far as I'm concerned, you never completely learn any machine. You've always got something else that you can learn about them.
Oh, for sure. And you have a lot of things to learn when you go out to an area, what it's actually telling you when you find something, right? I mean, as you're looking at the lay of the land and what's around and where should I go to next. And so that's one of the things I like about the hobby, I mean, it's almost like you're a detective out there, right? So especially like in the woods this time of year.
Yeah.
Looking for all the signs. Yep.
Yeah. Looking at the lay of the land and trying to figure out what happened here 150, 200 years ago. And then, I mean, this time of year, you can see a lot more in the woods. I mean, of course, all the foliage and leaves are gone, but I mean, you can see rock chimney stacks and stuff like that. It helps out a lot in this time of year.
Yeah, you walk around, you just come across a roadbed out in the middle of the woods, and you're like, "Hey, where'd this go?" So it went somewhere.
I don't know if y'all noticed it or not, but Missouri Mike just put on, said Plugmaster Ford and Missouri Mike are in the house. Long day of door knocking. I tell you what, you guys, Mike, you better be careful going around with Jeff like you are. There's a whole bunch of metal detectors that are gonna get some revenge on him, and I wouldn't want to be in the vicinity whenever it happens. I tell you what, that was hilarious. And if you guys have not seen Plugmaster Ford's lip sync video with Jason the quarter hoarder and Rosalind, the one with is that her name? Is that what she goes by? Relic Recovery.
Yeah, I think it's Rosalind.
Yeah,
Relic.
Yeah, that was hilarious. And then Nugget Noggin was hilarious, and Aqua Chigger, and I mean, it's just a hilarious video. He's gonna get some subscribers out of that. There ain't no doubt about it. You guys,
I kind of heard that there might be other people coming up quick.
Yeah, you were there. You were there with me whenever I got a text that me and Jeff are in the can somewhere that he has done, and so Jocelyn's what it is. Right. Dave Miller says. Sorry about that, Jocelyn. I guess that busted my chance of getting you on the radio show then. You guys live in a great spot down there, Murfreesboro. You had a Civil War battle there. Other Civil War battles around you. That was a hotbed of Civil War activity, wasn't it?
Oh, it definitely was. And that's something that we're lucky. We're definitely lucky where we're at. So even when we're out looking for old home sites, sometimes we come up across where Civil War somebody's camped or whatnot. So it's definitely a good place to be.
Well, 2 winters ago, we found our first picket. I guess that's what it was. We were actually hunting for an old house that was on a 1916 map pretty close to me, and we before we found the house, Ron stumbled upon a half of a peace flask that had been hit by a plow and thrown up in the edge of the woods. And we knew we were in what used to be a field because it was just a lot of cedars. And over several trips back there hunting, we found quite a few Civil War artifacts in that one little area. Still don't really know if it was a camp or if a soldier just met his misfortune there or what, but we did find the house within about, I don't know, maybe 1,000 feet. So they were hanging close to that house.
Yep, and that was on close to the roadbed that went out from the back of the house. So I think it was a camp just because we found multiple gun parts from the Mississippi guns, and we found the peace flask and a lot of other little things. We found some buttons and different things, from the Civil War camp. We plan on going back once deer season's over again, just to check it out again. I'm sure there's some more stuff there.
Oh, there's always more stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like a great place.
Yeah.
Well, we hunted with the AT Pro, and mostly we used the 5x8 coil because we were in the woods, and so thinking that's an old plowed field, we think there might be some stuff deep there, so we want to go back with like a GPX or this XP that I got once I get things figured out on that and go a little bit deeper and just slow down.
What's the soil like in your part of the country there?
It's different depending on what area of the county you're in. I mean, you're either on flat rock in some areas, and other areas you'll have, 4 or 5 inches of topsoil, and then it'll go into pretty much more of a red clay, and it compacts pretty quickly. So unless they've plowed, most stuff is staying pretty shallow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, heck, I was telling you, Seven, I think at the meeting after we were talking, at that place I'm talking about right there, I found a halftime, I think it was, Tim, right laying on top of a rock. So, I mean, all it was covering it was a little layer of moss. So it really depends on where you're at. And it changes quick from the glades.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a spot down
another house site. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah. I've got a spot that I hunted down next to the Stones River, and of course it's on the south side of it, and off 231. And of course, when I got there, it was 95 degrees, and all that land was clay. I mean, you could not dig. I mean, it was terrible. But I mean, I did find a few Civil War relics, but I mean, you had to fight for them.
You get that stuff, but sometimes it's weird. You're talking about. I think we were talking earlier about how stuff comes out of the ground. Down in the sandy soil versus wherever. It's really weird here because you can go in the clay and dig a V-nickel or whatever, and 10 feet over you're in a glade, and it's only 2 inches down versus 8 inches or whatever, and they'll come out of the ground totally different.
Yeah, but if you've got a rock base, they can only go down so far, And I've got a spot here that in Monroe County, Kentucky, that at one time, the old fairgrounds left there in 1916. I don't know when it first started there. But it's got maybe 4 or 5 inches of topsoil, and then you get down to it's not really a red clay. It's kind of a mixture between a red and a dark gray clay. But those, we found a world of barbers. That's 3-4 years ago when we hunted that. And they just sunk down to that clay and stopped right there, So it can be good, but if it gets down in that clay, and if it's red clay, now Jeff will tell you that, then you're going to have a lot of minerals in the soil, and then that's when the GPX will shine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'd imagine so. And we also find that because we do river hunting, so we try to find like hard pack, where, the bullets and everything look really good. And if you get too much sand in the river that's covering stuff, you start getting cans and everything else in it. So we look for the hard pack and the cracks between the hard pack. And we pull out a lot of stuff from the rivers. But it really depends on the soil and that. We were out with Bird Dog. I guess the point I was trying to get to was we were in a bottom that had a lot of clay, and holy crap, it was so hard to dig them out in the river. All the current moving and everything, and they sunk down, not real far, but it really packs it down when you get in that clay in the river.
water hunting is different. I mean, it is hard. Jeff and I have tried it a little bit. You guys do a great job. You guys are serious about it, aren't you?
We're pretty serious. Tim hooked me up with, I like snorkeling and all that before, but Tim hooked me up with the hookah. I think we went gold dredging first with the hookah. Is that right, Tim?
Yeah, that's correct.
I think that's the first time I ever went hookah diving. And then Tim set up a nice little rig. I think we have a video out on it, just kind of our setup and whatnot. But it's easy to get down to the 10 foot that the AT Pro can go and kind of just stay down there and work to work it. And I really like it. I really enjoy it a lot. So
yeah,
I'll be honest with you. Once you go and get comfortable with it, it's actually the easiest digging you'll do, because you're weightless in that water. We use a dive belt to keep positive weight to keep our feet on the bottom, and if you were to step in over your head, you got a quick release. You just drop that weight belt and you're fine. But you can literally walk the river just like walking on dry land. You get a signal, you can opt to hold your breath, or you can stick a regulator in your mouth, and we have a 30-foot hose attached to our dive tanks, and you just go right down and retrieve it just like you would on the ground. So it's very similar, and you're typically hunting flat bottom where you got flat rock. You got to look at in the river just like you would if you were hunting for gold. You're not going to find it in the piles of debris and stuff. It's going to be down under that, so you got to look for the hard bedrock bottom and the crevices, and there'll be tons of little bowl-shaped nooks that go out of the limestone, little cavities, and the bullets and the heavies will settle out in that kind of stuff, and you can really do some good if you find a good area, and it's ever changing. Anytime you get a storm, that bottom continually changes.
Yeah, and wash stuff off the bank, where a bank will collapse, and then it doesn't, even with a lot of current, a bullet doesn't go too far. I mean, it'll find a hole or a crevice or a crack, and now if it's smooth bottom, it'll roll for a ways. But and
Devin, we may ought to try that this year.
I'm going to.
I would love to have you guys down and take you guys out on the river. I think you guys would have a blast.
Well, it's the
best place to be in the summertime when the ticks are out, and it might even do your back wonders getting off in that in that more of a weightless environment.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was fixing to say is the temperature. In the summertime, you get in a creek and you could stay there and hunt all day, where maybe I know a lot of times in the summertime it's hard for me to do a video each week because I can only hunt about an hour and a half every morning, and you got to get out there at daylight, and as soon as the sun pops up, it starts getting so hot you can't do anything, And so if you...
Yep, that's the truth.
If you start adding some water hunting in, and I know Bird Dog and his dad, Kentucky Relic Hunter, they completely quit land hunting all summer long. Now, they may, jump out once or twice for an hour or something, but they go completely to water hunting. And
I think that's pretty much where we're at.
Yeah, it's just unless you get a nice yard or an old house or something, and like you said, you can get out early or just throw your sombrero on and take a lot of water and just tough it out, But other than that, I don't like going in the woods except for the wintertime.
We actually went out with Bird Dog. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to ask, do y'all mainly hunt water crossings like old fords, or do y'all just kind of just walk the... Okay.
Yeah, anything. I mean, obviously you want to try to, around here, it's getting limited because other people have been in the rivers even, years ago. They had some water machines and they would catch it when the water's down. You can still find some deep holes, and not everybody's into scuba diving or any kind of thing like that. So a lot of times that'll open it up. Plus the river's always washing and changing, but just any, water was the lifeblood. So there was a lot of activity around any of the water. But yeah, if you can find any kind of a ford, that's a good place to check out. Any kind of a dam, any old mills, swimming holes.
How is the visibility?
Sometimes you can see a little, and sometimes you can't see anything.
Okay.
That's
See,
something
I
you have
live
to
right
get
here next
used
to
to.
Bledsoe. Yeah, I live right here next to the Cumberland River, and of course I'm thinking you get off in it, and I mean you can't see your hand in front of your face.
Yeah, that's kind of the way it is down here.
I can see myself now, just touching around, and I'll stick my fist in a fish's mouth or something, and there I go.
I know people worry about, like,
everybody's into that.
They worry about snakes and whatnot. I mean, I don't know about you, Tim, but I saw maybe 5, 6 snakes this year, and I was only really close to maybe a couple of them, and they're always going the other way, so they don't want to see you no more than you want to see them.
Yeah, that's right.
No.
You just got to keep that in your mind.
Me and Jeff wear snake boots, and of course, ticks don't bother me. Ticks bother Jeff. I mean, they get all over him.
Man, they love me to death. I guess it's because I'm so sweet. I don't know.
Yeah, you're like Plugmaster. You're like Plugmaster Ford said about a quarter hoarder. You put sugar on yourself.
You need to go with us, Jeff, because I'm a tick magnet. Ask Tim. I'm terrible, man. They love me.
Hey, but it never fails when we want to do a wrap-up clip. Go ahead, Tim.
Well, I was just going to say he gets bit, and it leaves a mark on him. And the rare time I find a tick on me, they're typically dead. Like me.
But it never fails when Seven wants to do a wrap-up video or something of our day, and then he'll want to sit right next to a cedar tree. You could see the ticks crawling off of them like Christmas bulbs or something. And I'm like, man, he said, oh, they don't bother me. I said, well, what about me? They love me. So, but yeah, they love me to death. So.
Them and chiggers during the summer. That's another reason why, man, we just love the river. It's nice and cool. You can go all day. I mean, it's easy on your joints as far as your knees and your back and whatnot. And the only thing I'm going to just call out to everybody that wants to do river hunting, it is important that you probably take somebody with you, because, you can't see very well, so it's good to have somebody with you, because it is a little dangerous.
It is, and especially if you're diving, and, slick bottom, and you could slip and fall and knock yourself out and drown, before anybody can find you.
Yep.
It would be...
So it's good to look out for each other.
Yeah, it would.
You can do a lot to explore the river with just a snorkel and a mask and a good pair of wading shoes. And then if you want to weight yourself positive, you can buy weight belts. They're dive belts, and it's just a big nylon belt you can put lead weights in. They're little bags. You can get different weights, and you put about 16 pounds in that and strap it around your waist. And you can just stay sure-footed on the bottom and walk along with your kayak. And, you're good to waist deep. You get a signal. You just hold your breath, and you can kneel right down and retrieve that signal. You may have to come up and grab a breath or two. But if you were to get in trouble, you hit one lever, and that weight belt will drop off, and you're good to go if you're comfortable in water. And that's the best way, really, that I would advise doing it. If you're going to try to do any kind of hook or supplied air, you need to go ahead and get scuba certified, because there's a lot of things that can happen even in shallow water.
Yeah, I watched.
Yep, and
I watched one video that y'all did on the hookah stuff, and I was not aware of a lot of the things that y'all pointed out in that video about the fact that you don't have to be 100 feet down in the water to experience the problems that we associate with diving and what have you. That can happen in shallow water as well.
With the deep water diving, you got to keep track of all your time under, because you're working with the nitrogen that your body builds up, and you've got to off gas and all that. But when you're doing real shallow stuff, when I say shallow, I'm talking if you're just doing like 4 or 5 feet what you can wade, and you're using a supplied air, you're not going to so much have to worry about gas buildup in your bloodstream. But if you go down just 5 or 6 feet and you take a breath with supplied air, and then for some reason you forget and you try to hold your breath and come to the surface, your lungs are going to expand enough that they could cause damage. So you've got to learn,
man,
that either you're holding your breath from the surface and going down like you would just snorkeling, or you're breathing supplied air. You got to continually breathe, and you got to be real conscious when you're coming up and down that you don't do something wrong there, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, you don't hold your breath with supplied air, right?
Yeah.
You never hold your breath. You got to be breathing in and out. So.
Yeah.
I know Jessie's listening. She'll understand that. You know, you blow a balloon up at the surface and take it down to 6 feet deep, it's going to shrink up. You bring it back up, it's going to be back to its normal size. But if you take a balloon and blow it up to a certain size at 6 feet deep, bring it to the surface, it's going to go considerably bigger. And that's the main worry right there. So.
Well, see, there you go. I've learned something already.
That was what I learned on your video, and I couldn't remember. But they were, of course, I haven't ever done it, and it was very interesting. Do you know what's the title to that video?
Oh shoot! I think it starts off with hookah. So
okay.
HOOKA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And tell everybody how to get to your YouTube channel and everything.
Well, if you go to YouTube, we're under Dig Dogs, DIGDOGS, and we have a variety of videos. We like to bottle hunt. We found that out last year. We do hunting in the woods this time of year. It's nice, we like to find old home sites. And during the summer, we do a lot of river hunting, looking for Civil War relics.
Yeah, and I meant to say something there a while ago. Matt Purdue came in and was talking about ticks, and he said they're worse than snakes because of Lyme disease,
Lyme. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always worry about that.
I use a lot
There's a new one out, too.
A new what?
There's a new one out, Loy, and it's recently discovered, and I actually have a fellow who works for me off and on, and he contracted this out of the blue. He developed he would get an allergic reaction whenever he ate red meat. Couldn't figure out why, and just within the past few months, they've released some articles, and there's some type of something that's going around, and you get it from I think it's is it the Lone Star tick, maybe? But
I think it's it.
Yeah, you get bit by it, and it can transfer something to you. And out of the blue, you'll go to eat a steak or a hamburger, and you'll either have just a mild reaction, and some people have gone full anaphylactic. And they don't really know what it is, but they've documented several cases now, at least 12 cases in this southern Tennessee area. So something else to worry about.
Well, Seven, Sham, he had has Lyme disease.
No, I didn't know that.
He was cleaning up he was cleaning up a farm he'd bought in East Tennessee, and then got bit by a tick, and then of course I guess there's no cure for Lyme disease, right?
Well, if you catch it early, you can take like 30 days of antibiotics. But if it goes so far, I think you're right. That there's probably not. What did Paul say, Sydney?
Okay.
Paul said that ticks are bad up where he is.
Yeah. And what did Matt say about it?
He said allergy to red meat. Oh, man, just put me down.
The same way.
I can understand that.
I can too. I could just eat meat. We've got 3 daughters, and whenever they were little, we were talking, and one night asked them, said, what would you like to be? And our oldest daughter said, or one of them said, that they wanted to be this, they wanted to be that. And then our middle daughter, we were just talking about different things, and she said, I think I could be a vegetarian, and our oldest daughter, that's Sydney's mom, said, I could too. Said, I really love animals, So she thought veterinarian instead of vegetarian.
Yeah.
But I'm like Matt. I'm done if I can't eat red meat. Hey guys, let me ask you something. You obviously use AT Pros in the water, correct?
That is correct.
ever have any problems with it? Any damage or anything?
Yeah.
Tim can laugh at me. Tim has had the same one this whole dang time, and he hasn't had no problems. Now, me, I don't know if it's how I handle it, or I've had, I think, is it 1 or 2 coils, Tim? 2? I think I had
detectors.
2 coils and 2 detectors. But good thing is, AT Pro has a 2-year. Is that right, Tim? 2-year?
Yeah, 2 years. That's that. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 year.
So I got the one replaced for free. I had to wait a little while. So me and Tim, unbeknownst to our wives, we went in and got an extra detector between the two of us that we take with us, just as a backup. And they know now, but we got an extra detector just so we're not down while you send it in. But they're pretty quick to get it fixed up and send back to you. They've done a good job of that.
Well, I've never had any problem out of my AT Pro, and I have no idea how many years I've had it, probably 5 now. But when I was hunting the soybean field, right before I found the Real, I had a button signal, and I went to heard the signal and turned around and went to move my coil back and forth over. My whole control box just fell off, and I guess where I drop it on the ground whenever I get down to I'm not dropping it hard, I don't think, but sometimes you do, and my whole control box came off. And Clarksville Diggers on YouTube, he put out a video last week, and it just so happened that afternoon whenever I got in, I was watching a few videos, and he put a video in about a company called Shapeways. And it's 3D printing, and they make a little bracket that you take the 4 screws out of your speaker on the AT Pro, and this little thing just goes over it, but it goes over your shaft on the back side. And so I got on the internet and ordered the thing, and it came in yesterday, and I put it on, and I tell you what, it's a great addition, preventative, for, of course, in my case, I have to have it now, but I took some electrical tape and taped mine back on and finished hunting that day. But I would suggest to anybody that's using an AT Pro, because the only thing that holds that control box on to the shaft there is those 2 little screws, and those little plastic posts, they just won't take. And when you're in the water, you've got to be a lot rougher with a detector, aren't you?
Well, yeah, especially when you can't see. So when Jeff says, hey, how far can you see? If you can only see 6 inches and you're down there swinging, you got to swing slower, because there's a lot of rocks and trees and all kinds of things that can, snag your detector, or you're banging your head of your detector on, So it can really, you got to be easy on it. That's probably my problem.
He's pretty rough on him. He swings pretty fast, and when he goes. So that's probably part of it.
I look
Seven,
back.
you was talking about that. You was talking about that handle. I seen it on Facebook the other day, and I was sitting there. I was like, man, I hope Seven orders us 2 of these. So I guess you just ordered 1.
I just ordered 1. Your detector's.
Oh man,
your detector's down.
Well, yeah, but I'll have it. I should have it back soon.
Yeah, well, when you get it back, I'll get you one. Well,
okay.
They're still
You're off in the water a lot. I'd just suggest an AT Pro just for have it handy for the river, so you can beat it up. Throw some duct tape on it if you need to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they are good machines. I mean, I've found a lot of relics with the AT Pro. And actually, when I first started detecting, I'd bought the Ace 150, and then I'd walk through the center of a Civil War camp and only dug 1 bullet. And then finally, later on, I'd got the AT Pro. Then that's really when I started finding a lot of relics. So,
Well, in
But,
the
I mean,
past,
they are
you'd be
good
using
machines.
a Tiger Shark or something like that. So in the past, you'd be using a pulse induction Tiger Shark or something like that. And the biggest thing with that AT Pro is you've got all the discrimination and the iron audio and all that still in the river, so that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it does.
I tell you what, guys, if I could only have one detector, and I've had I don't know how many different ones, if I could only have one detector to use in every circumstance, it would be an AT Pro. I kind of got away from it for a while, used the E-Track. My buddy Mike, that has been on the last couple of my videos, he's using my E-Track now. And then I bought a CTX 3030, and I finally sold it a couple of months ago. It's a good machine, but it's those machines are really more geared toward when you hunt yards and what have you, where you can kind of separate a pull tab from a Cohen or something other. And the kind of hunting that me and Jeff do, hunting the old sites that we hunt. Now, if we hunt a Civil War site, obviously we're going to use our GPXs when we can. Mm-hmm. But hunting these old house sites, especially with a lot of clutter and a lot of junk, I just know my AT Pro. And I'll tell you something else, Jeff, and Ron will tell you. I tried to use my headphones the other day, didn't I, Ron?
You did.
And
it really changes it.
The signals were completely different sounds and everything, and I hunted around there for maybe 30 minutes, and I told Ron, I said, I'm fixing to take my headphones off, because I said, I don't know what my machine is saying to me. So I took it off, and first
you did a lot better after you took it off.
Yeah, I did. First thing I found was a Great Seal button, and then a pewter salt shaker top, and I mean, I was finding all kind of things because I knew what they sounded like. It just didn't sound right. Of course, I miss hearing Jeff's signals, and him hearing mine. He'll holler at me every once in a while and say, we neither one of us use headphones. And he'll say, you passed the button back up over there a while ago. And I said, you think so? Yeah, I think so. Go back.
Well, I enjoyed hearing your signals. So, but I don't know how I would do without headphones personally. I probably have the same problem the opposite way.
Well, I've got good hearing.
Yeah, it's kind of fun listening to, you'll be listening to, I'll be listening to Seven, and then, of course, I can tell when he gets a choppy signal or something, and I'll be like, well, hey, I would dig that one. And then, he'll walk off, and the next thing you know, I'll sneak up there and I'll dig that hole, and it'll be a button or something. And then he can do me the same way, so.
Yeah, and
there you go. It makes it fair.
Yeah, he heard my signals at the first Colonial house that we hunted after we left the Gallatin camp, and come over there and got my cap bust and Real in my line there. So yeah, he's a good listener and a good learner too. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, I know you are.
Yeah.
And that's the way we are too. With Tim and I. I watch your guys' videos, and you guys are good natured when you all find whatever you find. That's the way we are when we go out. It's human nature to feel a little jealous or whatever, but I'm glad when somebody else finds something nice. That's awesome. So it's just
we're all
good
saving
time.
History.
Yep, that's all that counts, really.
And it's
I'd
hard
rather see a friend find it than it get left in the woods.
Do what, Tim?
I said you'd rather see a friend find it than it get left in the woods.
Yep.
It doesn't matter to me. Now me and Jeff, we'll say, I'll say I'm gonna take his detector away. I'm gonna break his legs, and he had that that one detector. The micro racer? He had it, and didn't have the settings set right on it or something other. And I kidded around with him. I said, I went over and messed with his settings and everything, because you was finding too much. But of course, I was just kidding him. But we're all about team. There's no jealousy between us. There'll be one hunt where I find something, and then there'll be another hunt where he will find everything, and that's just the way it is.
It is.
Yeah, I can't wait to get this back problem done with, where I can get back. So.
Yeah, I bet, man. I remember a time with Tim. He was feeling all puny, sick, and we was at this nice old house that he got permission on, which was nice. Usually, when he gets permission, I find the stuff, and then he gets mad. No, he doesn't get mad, but he's up there standing by. He's up there standing by a tree, and he had put this round thing in his pocket, and he's up there scrubbing it off with this toothbrush, and I'm walking up, we're getting ready to leave, and he's like, holy crap, there's an eagle on here. He got himself his first breastplate, Man. So, it makes you feel good.
It does. And
that's what I can't wait for Seven to find, his first plate. And then, he's found a breastplate.
Yeah, I found
a belt buckle.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too.
Short a belt buckle. I took Ron to 2 different permissions, and he found a belt buckle at each one of them. And
I'm sorry, buddy.
That was right after he got going, and I've yet to find one. So, and I tell you what, I really want to find is I want to find some trench art. I think that's just most important to me right now for whatever reason. I just think that's really cool.
And that's a good bucket lister, buddy. I mean, that trench art is awesome. And I've never found any, but I've seen a few pieces that's been found, and I mean, it's just unbelievable.
What are y'all talking about? Are you talking about
members,
a carved
bullets?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Carved into
bullets.
an animal or something?
One of our members found what he thought was a bullet. It was still dirty. He just threw it in his pouch. When he got home and started cleaning it, it was the most beautiful snake's head I'd ever seen.
Oh, it was. Had the fangs and everything. It was nice.
Man,
what force say
that wouldn't
about...
be Doug Holder, would it?
Say again?
That wouldn't be Doug Holder, would it?
No, it's
no.
Jack, one of our members. Maybe
I'm sorry.
Sometime and send it to y'all.
Yep, Jack Spence. Yep.
Okay, I'd seen a picture of that on some of the treasure forums. I believe it was the same one.
I'm sure
it could be.
And I think, I saw it in I think the Digger magazine. I think it was in there.
Mm-hmm.
We had a member here as well. I'm not going to mention his name, but he found something that was awesome. And just speaking of our club, the Murfreesboro Metal Detecting Club, I think it was Tim that actually led him to a link that told him about this piece. But he found it looked like a half dime, but it was actually Confederate. And what it turned out to be was it was made by a Murfreesboro metalsmith, and I think it was only the 12th one known to exist. So that was pretty awesome.
I'll tell you what,
it said a United Confederate States half dime, and it had been holed, and he found it and thought it was some kind of a token and threw it in the drawer. And then I saw a Facebook post from a local Murfreesboro person who had said, has anybody ever seen one of these? He found an article, and I sent that to our friend, and turned out that's what it was, and he ended up getting it sent off and appraised, and he actually ended up selling it to a collector, and for a pretty good chunk of change.
I imagine. Somebody had a CS buckle there the other night.
Oh, yeah, that was Alex. So he brought a skin of a nice CS buckle he found. I forget when he said he found it, but years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't
that was awesome. But, being in a club, you get to see that kind of stuff, from folks that have been doing it for a while. And it's good to see things so you know what you're looking at, when you find it. So,
why don't y'all let everybody know when your next meeting is, and kind of how to get in touch with. We may have some listeners that are either listening now or will come in and listen to the archive version of this. How they could get a hold of y'all and maybe show an interest in your club there.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So we do have a website. It's Boro, B-O-R-O, diggers.com. So we have that website. We also have a Facebook page, which is under the Murfreesboro Metal Detecting Club. You can reach us through there as well. We have a meeting the last Tuesday of every month at O'Charlie's in Murfreesboro. And if you go to the Facebook website, it actually has the event and shows you the address and all that information. Also some phone numbers if you want to call, hook up for a hunt or get some tips or, just talk about where the meeting is or whatnot. You can give us a call. We have a lot of members that, we'll take everybody out, do training or, just fellowship. So,
Say that.
but that's about
She
it.
just shared a link.
Oh, yeah, my daughter.
Link to the Burrow Diggers. Yeah.
And I'll say this. Of course, I was there Tuesday night, the first time that I'd ever been there, and it is a great group. There's no doubt about it. A great group of people, and I have no idea how many new people came in that you guys didn't know, and I noticed that every member of your club made it a point to go over and introduce themselves to the new members, and some of the are not new members but just visitors that were there, and they felt comfortable enough that whenever I started letting people ask questions and everything, a lot of them asked questions, so I know they felt comfortable in your group. So if you're a newcomer to Middle Tennessee, or if you have lived there for a long time and you're just getting into metal detecting, or you've been metal detecting a long time and just want to get with a great group, I would recommend the Murfreesboro Metal Detecting Club, because it's a great group of people. You won't be intimidated at all, and it'll be well worth your time, and it's just the camaraderie of you guys getting together, guys and gals.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
We're a family-friendly club, so we're looking... you can bring your kids, you can bring your spouses.
Yeah, and it's it's $30 a month or for the year, $35 for family, and we do at least one club hunt a year. We had a lot of fun. I think I posted a video. I don't know about a month ago, Tim, on that.
Yeah, that's on the Facebook on the Facebook page.
Yeah. So come check us out.
We got a donation from Tesoro. We gave away a Tesoro Mojave, and then of course we always get a Garrett hunt package where we get a discounted machine. We gave away an AT Pro and all kinds of other stuff, digging tools and bags and pouches.
I think you won the pinpointer.
Yeah, I did. I actually won one of the Pro Pointers.
What'd Paul say there, Cindy?
Yep, a lot of fun.
Paul asked, "What about the Yankees?"
I think everybody's. I think what he means there is, are Yankees welcome at y'all's club?
They are.
Yankees are welcome.
They are. Everybody's the same.
Ain't nobody going to turn down.
I was.
Ain't nobody going to turn down a U.S. plate, are they?
Nope.
They have to bring something, though.
Hey, Tim, tell the story of the breastplate that I was talking about when you offered it to the homeowner.
Yeah, we got permission, and she said this place is hunted out, and she said the guys that were here the most, she said they never found anything. She said they came and left, and they never found anything, and so we thought, well, we'll go. But I just by chance, it was really, that place was hunted over. All we found was some current clad. But I just happened to be over by the old one of the old root cellars, and there was a board there, and I was getting a strong signal underneath it. I felt for sure it was a can or a zinc mason jar lid or something, because the room was full of those. But lo and behold, I dug down, and it ended up being the breastplate. I didn't even know it, like Ron said, till I was cleaning it before we left. But when we left, we went up, knocked on the door, and that was all we had to find. And I showed it to her, and I said, well, we told you we would show you what we found. This is your property, so you have every right to keep it, or if you don't want it, I would love to keep it. And she said, well, what's it worth? And I said, I don't know. Probably we had looked online. I think we figured it about $100 because of the condition it was in. And then she said, is it Confederate or Yankee? And we said, it's Yankee. And she said, you can have it. But what I ended up doing, this goes a long way. So what I ended up doing is, we knew we wanted to go back there, so I got online and I ordered a silver bar that had a crucifix because I knew she was a Christian, and I bought that. It was right at $50. It was, I forget how, an ounce or whatever of silver, and it was made to put on a chain. And so I ordered that. When we went back the next time to hunt, we gave her that for letting me keep the breastplate.
Well, that was good.
Well, that's good. And yeah, that's how you keep good permissions right there.
It is, and you get and you get more permissions.
Mm-hmm. You do, because somebody's going to ask her. Well, how? I mean, so if you ask, like, say her neighbor, and then her neighbor's going to go to her, and well, how are these guys? And then they're going to be like, well, they bought me this, and then they're going, well, okay, you can come over to I mean, she'll realize you're good guys. And that's like around here, a lot of the landowners, like especially during Thanksgiving or Christmas, I'll buy them a turkey or some steaks or something like that. And I mean, they really appreciate it.
Well, I think Ron and I kind of keyed onto that a while back, and what we started doing is, if we, like the one permission where we found what the picket that we thought was a picket or something, we actually took a Riker box and made a nice little 12 by 12 display, and we put a lot of the finds that we found from that site in there, and we labeled everything. We gave some history on it, and we went and presented that with a homeowner, and now he's opened up a whole nother property that he said we can go hunt as soon as deer season ends. And
what is that, like 1,000 acres?
Oh yeah, it's like 1,000 acres. It's got some history on it. And then, so what I did is I actually ordered a few cases of these. They're 5x6 Riker boxes, and so you just carry those in your truck, and you go out and get into a bunch of good stuff. You can quickly put together a display for the homeowner, or do it later and bring it back to them, and that just really goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Who'd we get in, Sydney?
Duran said better late than never.
Duran, I think, is how it is. That's Kentucky boy right there that's joined us. Yeah,
Kentucky boys, they're always late.
Yeah, they're always late.
No, I can't say nothing about being late.
No, you sure can't, because I'm always early when I go down there. If Jeff's coming here,
I'm still waking up. I mean, I'm just getting out of bed, and then I'll look out. The dogs will be barking. I was like, is he already here? And I was like, man, I told him at like 7 o'clock, and it'd be 6:55 or something. I'll be like, well, man, you was early.
Yeah, I'm generally earlier than that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I hunted Tuesday, I guess, Tim, at a spot that y'all fixed up a Riker box for. Is that correct?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, a friend of ours actually got permission. He had some connections, and he got permission, and that's that was a fortification there, and now it's moved on to other things, but we got permission to come in there. Real nice folks, and we did that. We worked up a nice display for them to put in that house.
Jeff,
and that allowed us, actually, the only detectorists that are allowed to hunt around the house. Everybody else has to go out.
And I'm going to tell you something. That house, it's an 1850s house, and that house has not been hunted, because that's what me and you went and hunted for about the last 30 minutes of our hunt. And we found all kind of stuff. I mean, you found an Indian head, inch under the ground? And that house has not been hunted.
Yep.
We might have hunted...
Not good enough, that's for sure.
Well, we might have hunted 10 foot of the place. We should have started up there, probably.
Yep.
Did you guys start Civil War hunting, or did you used to hunt yards and parks and things and just evolve into the relic hunting and old house hunting and Civil War hunting?
We started that. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ron.
No, go ahead. It's a good story.
Well, we actually, I had dabbled in it for a little bit, and I didn't really totally know what I was doing, but I just got bored doing it myself. And then Ron was actually in between jobs, and he helped me. I do home improvement contracting, and so he helped me for a summer, almost a full year actually. But long story short, I bought him a metal detector for Christmas, so I have to buy my hunting buddies. But no, I bought him a metal detector, and he used to do a lot of trapping when he was young and stuff like that. So I knew he liked being out in the woods. I knew it was a good fit. So I got him a detector. We started hunting together, and really the first place we hunted was we got a permission just right down the road from us where there was a World War II maneuver camp, and it was some, gosh, Ron, what do you think? Maybe 100 foxholes over there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's rock tables they had set up. There was like little rock bunkers they had built, and the landowner didn't really know what it was. They had found a sword embedded in a tree, a hammer embedded in a tree, and so we were invited to come over there and hunt, and we pretty quickly found out it was a World War II maneuver camp, which we knew nothing about. So that totally got us into the history of the World War II maneuvers that took place in Middle Tennessee back in the 40s, which is a whole other topic we should talk about sometime. And we hunted that for 2 years, was pretty much our primary hunting. And then we slowly, as we learned to start doing research and looking for old house sites and things like that, we started running into some Civil War stuff. But primarily, we hunted World War II maneuvers and old houses.
Yeah. Well, I started back in 76, I think, got my first detector and hunted parks and old houses and everything. And, you'll dig yourself to death digging clad. Of course, back then you found a lot of silver. But I'm really more interested in old house sites myself. Got into Civil War relic hunting. I really enjoy it, but in the process of trying to find a Civil War camp that I'm still looking for in our county, I found 5 colonial houses, and since I found those house sites, that's my bread and butter. I mean, that's what I like to do. If I can dig a flat button,
I'm with you,
because I know there's a real there somewhere. You may have to work to find it, but there's a real there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of research tools do you guys use to find the old sites that you hunt? That was a question that came up. That was a question that came up more often, I think, the other night than anything was. How do you research?
It is, and especially for new people, right? Where do I find a spot, and how do I only have this one spot? You do have to door knock, but we go out to historicalaerials.com is an awesome site. You can overlay old maps of the area and see where the old roads, old houses are. And I'm not sure, Tim, what's that website that in Tennessee that we look for the property lines to find the homeowners? Do you remember?
Most of the municipalities now have a GIS system of some sort, but unless, some of the smaller towns may not. But for us here in Murfreesboro, we can go to the GIS website, and you can pull up all of the plats basically, and you can see you can reference to the deed owners or the deeds and the landowners, and you can track down names that way, where you can at least get a name of somebody if you go to knock on a door. But I tell you, a big thing I think is that when Ron and I decided to create some business cards, you're not just walking up and just knocking on a door and say, "Hey, can I metal detect you?" You can go up and present yourself. You can give them a card with your name, your number, your address, maybe a little bit about yourself, and you present that to them, and just in a polite manner, and you use all your rules of digging that you should be doing about covering your tracks and being respectful. You'd be surprised. You're going to get no's. People are going to say absolutely not, get lost. It doesn't happen very often. Most people are kind to say no, but then there's others that lighten right up and they're all for it. So.
Yep.
And when you live in
the way I've always looked at it, they can't eat you. You can go up to somebody's door and knock, and I mean, all they're going to do is say no. I mean, you can't be scared to go knock on somebody's door.
But they can't eat you.
That's right.
They can't eat you.
And we had, like Seven said, we had new people at the club meeting, and they just started detecting, and that was a big question. You know, how do I get another permission? You know, go ahead and knock on the door. They're not gonna eat you. They may say no, but a lot of times people say yes.
Yep, and if you have a card created, then you'll be surprised. You carry those with you, and you might be not even metal detecting, just out somewhere and interacting with people. It can be anywhere, and I'm quick to tell people that I metal detect. I'll bring that up in conversations, and that opens up a lot of doors. You can hand them a card, and you'd be surprised at people who have just bought a property or know somebody, and you do that enough, and eventually you're going to get some hunting spots. But back to what you said about the research. Ron actually did some early research, and he found in our county, it's Tennessee Virtual Archives. You can go to that site and pull up a lot of different counties, and we were able to find a really good 1916 map. And Lloyd, that's the same one that's on the
historic aerials.
What's the one Ron just mentioned?
Historic aerials.
That's the same one. When you pull up that 1916 in our area, and I was manually doing screenshots and doing overlays on Google Earth until we found the historic aerials.
And Missouri Mike said, "What about mailing a thank you card? That's a good idea. Sure is.
That is
a good thing too. Yeah.
And you know, as you network too, as you hunt one house, then and people get to know you. Of course, I live in a real small community, and I know everybody, and everybody knows what I do, and I donate to the museum here. Jeff and I donate down in Tennessee, and that opens a lot of doors. And then I have people calling me, you know, and saying, you know, have you ever hunted on this spot? There was a guy recently called me and said, I've got an old chimney stack on the back side of my place. And he said, have you ever hunted it? And I said, no, I hadn't. And went there and hunted it. It was early 1900s place, but I mean, it was a good place to hunt. So, you know, the more more exposure you get, you have the cards and everything, people get to know you. Well, it opens doors. And I think a lot of people...
It takes a little time to get traction.
It does, and a lot of people, it's if you're, to me, the lazy way about it is to hunt a park or a school, you know, because you don't have to do any research. You just go do it, but that's what everybody's doing and have done for, you know, a long time. So, you know, those places are kind of hunted out, but you get, like Duran said, he said there's some desolate places around him. There are us too, but there are a lot of old abandoned homes and even communities, you know, that are long gone now. And so, you know, you get into those places and you're on virgin territory. Nobody's ever detected those places.
Yep, very true.
And just old road beds. It doesn't even have to be a specific house location. If you get property to hunt a piece of wood, you can do your research and see if there was any road beds. But if not, you know, if you got a day to waste and you just feel like getting out and getting some exercise, just go swing those woods, because you never know what's been in there.
No,
yep, and around
get a lot of
rock walls.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you get a lot of horseshoes and stuff in them road beds, but I think Tim got a curry comb. You know, we've got spurs. What else? I mean, there's been all kinds of stuff out of the road beds. So
I would think there'd be a lot of toe taps.
We hit.
Yep.
Sometimes, but you know, you start putting stuff together when you do that, and you know they were traveling up and down that road, and they would even back when they were just running horses and stuff on those old road beds, they would get off and take breaks, and they had certain areas. So you'll get out and you'll find features that sometimes can, spark an idea to hunt around that area, and you really never know till you get out and go. And obviously just going off in the woods might not be very productive, but that's just the days that you're just wanting to get out and explore a little bit. But obviously you want to try to hunt something that's got some significance that you can find on a map or something.
Yeah,
and a lot of it, you've got to read the lay of the land. You've got to know when you're in the woods, you've got to be able to look and realize, well, was this a field at one time? And like you were saying earlier, like cedar thickets or something like that. I mean, 90% of the time they were fields back in the day. And I mean, you never know what you're going to find in them.
And I'll tell you what, we really, as you do it, you really get to notice those things when you're out in the woods, because it's a special size of cedar, right? So you know how long ago it was, so you look at it and you go, hey, that was a field. And if there was a field, there's probably a house around it.
Yep, it sure was.
And water is a big key, because everybody had to have water. And I have never found a spring, even a small spring, that doesn't have some kind of a house that was there at one time. A lot of those
around it.
Yeah, a lot of those spring sites are colonial sites. You don't have any other indication, because evidently we didn't. Our early pioneers that came in here in southern Kentucky we didn't have enough rock for them to build chimneys, and they built them out of logs and then chinked the inside of them with mud and stuff, Of course, those are long gone, and so you don't have any indication of a house. Maybe I've gone through the woods and you'll see maybe 4 or 6 rocks, and they look like that they're kind of spaced out in a square, and hunt those, and it was a old house site, And
we find those. That's really neat. So you find that square, it might be 3 rocks on one end and 3 rocks on the other. Excuse me. And it's an old house.
Yeah, it is.
Buttercups.
Buttercups.
That's a big thing in the spring.
In the woods, you better hunt it.
A good thing for somebody that is serious about doing the kind of metal detecting that we do, relic hunting, if they had a little extra money, would be to invest in a drone. And in the early spring, whenever those buttercups come up, just fly that drone and look for buttercups. And then GPS mark all those spots. Just go to them. You don't have to hunt them. Just go to them and mark them. And then, as you have time, and especially during the winter here, that's our prime hunting time, then you've got a place that you can go back to. And I've never seen a bunch of buttercups that didn't have some relics around it.
No.
For sure.
That's a great idea.
I was going to bring a drone Tuesday, Loy. I've got one, and I was going to do some shots of y'all and some house shots, but obviously I had a change of plans and couldn't make it. But it was actually too windy, I think, that day anyway for the drone.
It was, and you had to go to the doctor with your dad, didn't you? Was that what the deal was?
Yep.
Yeah. And we wish him the best. And by the way, I meant to say this at the outset of this show, because regularly scheduled for tonight was Silver Sniffer. I had you guys on the list, but Silver Sniffer was supposed to be on tonight. His dad, I believe he's 82 or 84, had a heart attack and had to have open heart surgery. And so I told him, I said, man, you go do what you need to do with your dad, and we'll reschedule this. And so we wish him the best and hope that went well. I haven't talked to Ross since that day, but I hope that everything has gone well with him. But yeah, it was too windy to fly a drone Tuesday. There's no doubt about it. And I kidded Ron, because I told my wife, I said, y'all know where the spaceship is, when you on 65, whenever you go into Alabama? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, we're just right there at that metal detecting right now. She said, you went all the way to Alabama? It was a good thing, though.
We were close.
We were close because it was like 27 degrees whenever I left Tompkinsville. When we got to Alabama, it was 44. I was loving it. But it was windy.
Man.
Tim, before we get off here tonight, why don't you share with us your I know that you are that you sell detectors and that you're a dealer and everything. Tell us a little bit about that and how we can get in touch with you and maybe take advantage of your services.
Yeah, Lloyd, thanks for asking. I decided to start selling metal detectors. I guess it's been about 3 years back. I just loving the hobby, and I already had a business presence, and so it was fairly easy for me to get set up. And I started out with Tesoro and Garrett, and since then, just recently, I picked up XP and Macro, and obviously going to work on some more. But I'm just doing sales for my residents right now. I don't have a website presence, but I am. If you go to Garrett and you do a search for the zip code in my area, it's going to show TK Enterprises, and that's how you'll find me for Garrett or Tesoro. And XP and Macro should be showing that eventually on their sites. I just picked them up, I don't know, maybe a month and a half ago. So it'll take a little bit for them to get me listed. And I'm working on some Google Plus pages and another YouTube channel. I'm going to try to do some online sales. I don't really want to do a full website. I want to try to do it just more with a Facebook presence and with YouTube. And it's I'm branding the name Murray Branch Outdoors because there's a branch right here beside me, and that's where I came up with that. I've got that domain name reserved. So you can find me right now as TK Enterprises, and obviously you can shout at me on either TJ Henderson YouTube page or YouTube channel. That's TJ Henderson. And you could holler at me through our Murfreesboro Metal Detecting Club on Facebook if you needed to reach out to me. But be on the lookout for Murray Branch Outdoors, because that's the name that I'm branding, and it'll go to that eventually.
Well, we're looking forward to that, and hopefully, that goes well for you, and people in, it's good to have somebody kind of local around that you can deal with, because you're going to get better service, because you can get in contact with the person, and so I think you'll do well.
Well, I got into it because of the hobby and because I do like to, detect, and so I know how to use what I'm selling, and mostly I do sell locally, and for that very reason, people want somebody that they can call and talk to and learn from and get tips and tricks if they've got problems. And you can buy from me out of state too. If you're listening, you're out of state, I can ship right to you just like anybody else, and my prices are going to be competitive just like everybody else's. So I would definitely appreciate the business, and we hope to make it grow too.
And if you mention digging with 7, it'll be free shipping.
There you go.
I'm just kidding.
Well, we'll see if we can't get something to your channel, maybe for a giveaway or something. That would
that'd be
doable.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Yeah, that would be great.
I tell you what, me and Jeff, we are really good at giving other people stuff away.
We are.
But,
and fast.
Yeah, and fast too. That's right.
I just know when I bought my first metal detector, I bought it from a package, a big box store, and I got it, and it was just so hard to learn it. And if I could have just called somebody that actually knew them and could talk me through some things, I would have enjoyed it better. And that's why I decided to get into it, where I could sell what I like to use and be able to answer questions for folks and just make the hobby more enjoyable for them.
And that's worth everything in the world for you. If you're out there and you're looking to buy a machine and you want to buy an AT Pro, or you want to buy XP Deus, or you want to buy a Tesoro, you're going to have questions about that, and it's worth everything in the world to have a contact, to have a personal cell phone number where you could just call somebody and say, you know, I'm having trouble with this. A guy asked me a question the other night at the supper that we had at your club meeting about factory resetting an AT Pro whenever you change coils. He said, I've heard about that. Do you do that? And I said, yes, I do. And Jeff is the one that taught me that, you know. I didn't know that. And he said that he had heard that if you change from a 5x8 to the 11-inch or vice versa, that you ought to just, go ahead and factory reset and then ground balance and everything. And so those are the kind of things that if you were to buy, locally there in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, then you're just a cell phone call away from asking a question like that, without going through
that's right.
a big chain place. And, a lot of those you're going to get a voicemail and have to leave a message. And, I want to know right now, I may be in the field asking that question, and I want to know right then.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be a big plus for you.
It's a bonus.
Yeah, it is a bonus.
Yeah, and Tim knows how to dig, so he knows about the machine. So
yeah, and that's a plus too. There's no doubt about it.
I'm a contractor, and the worst thing is to have a sales rep tell you what a product will do, and then you get out in the field and it just doesn't do what they said, and you try to call back, and they're like, "Well, I don't know. That's just what the manufacturer said."
I've been there,
to have somebody that's actually, yeah. So it's good to be with somebody that actually knows the stuff. It just really helps on the learning curve.
Yep.
Duran said every time that we mention a Cohen, either me or Jeff digs it. Well, I'm mentioning Gold Cohen right now. I'm on the record for Gold Cohen because that's on my bucket list. I'd like to have one. But
yeah, I would too.
Yeah. Speaking of giveaways, I want to
do like me.
What's that?
Don't do like me, Lloyd. That's on my bucket list too. And I found that 1792 doubloon a few month or so back, and I couldn't believe it because Ron said, "Well, I don't know if that's silver." Then we said, "Well, it's a doubloon," and got to looking, and I did some quick research on the phone, and it said 87% gold, and it came in a 66 on my AT Pro, and I'm thinking, well, that's really a doubloon. It came in 66. That's right in the middle of the gold range on the AT Pro, and so we're high-fiving and fist-pumping on that one video there, and I get it home. And doggone it, I get to looking and it's got copy stamped on it. I got fooled big time.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh man.
Missouri Mike says,
I hope you get real gold.
Yeah, I do too. I've seen that find that you had, and I mean it was a killer looking find. There's no doubt about it. Missouri Mike said, when you go to a house site, what kind of digging tool do you use? I guess it's to anybody here.
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm using the Predator I want off you. I like the big long shovel to cut the roots and whatnot, but I always take my small one too, so I can get down in if I'm a little deeper or around rocks or whatever.
If I'm hunting in somebody's yard, I've got the Predator shovel, and I hate to take a Predator shovel into somebody's yard. It just looks massive. I can actually dig a cleaner plug and put it back, and it look better. But it's just the optics of it. And I've got a little Samson that I use sometime, and then sometimes in a yard I'll only use my leash. If it's a well manicured yard and the ground's not all that hard, it's not my choice to do that, but just the optics of going into someone's yard, with a great big shovel or something, I think might be a turnoff, And if you get a permission, somebody somebody might say, I told you that you could, but then you bring in this big old shovel here, and they think the next thing you're going to do is bring in
a track hoe or something.
Yeah, be bringing in a track hoe or something. Where's the dozer?
We go to a house site like you. Go ahead.
Well, Missouri Mike put in the chat, have you ever been asked to leave because of your shovel? I haven't, but I've had that fear.
I haven't either.
And so that's kind of why I tone it down and downsize whenever. Of course, I don't hunt people's yards much. Me and Jeff are out in the woods, we're out in the field, and we still cover our holes.
We're in the thicket.
Yeah, we're in a thicket, but we still cover our holes, and we'll still take our trash with us and everything, But nobody'd be able to come in and say, well, y'all just tore this place up. But we're respectful. But my suggestion is if you're hunting people's yards and door knocking, downsize. Go with a smaller shovel, use your lash or something like that. Hey, Barb's in the house. Hello, Barb. She said she uses her Predator Raven. Go ahead, Tim.
Well, like you said, in a nice yard, definitely something small. And Ron and I, a lot of times, will take a piece of cardboard or a piece of rubber, like rubber roofing, or just something you can roll up and put in your pouch and lay it down. And when you dig your hole, you can flip the plug and you can put all the loose dirt on that. And you can dig the target. You can put everything back and totally nice and neat. But he did ask what we use when we go to old house sites. If we're off in the woods and we know there's potential, if we're talking about a house from 1916 or earlier, then we'll actually take hand rakes, like a 3-prong claw on a hand rake. We'll take that. We'll take a yard rake. We'll take a shovel. And, if it's out in the woods, we can take all that in. Now, we might only use just our shovels or our hand digging tools, but if we happen to luck out and find a trash pit or get into some glass, then we might want to start doing a little raking around.
Well, we take Jeff's truck in, and we've got everything in the world in the back end of it, Everything but
we do.
Everything but a backhoe.
Yeah. Well, the rake idea is pretty good. We need to take it to the 44 woods. And I'll tell you what, you get the raking, and I'll detect a little bit, and I'll see if it's a good spot or not.
Well, Ron and I have gotten into some glass bottles, and the best way to dig that is we would just get down on our hands and knees in that area and start raking the dirt. When you use that 3-prong rake, as you rake the dirt, you can pull roots and rake the dirt back, and if you come across glass, it'll hit and it'll skip, and it makes a real distinct feel. And
it's real smooth.
And you can slow down.
I've been wanting to get into the bottle
that area.
Yeah. I've got a couple of bottle dumps around here that I need to get in. And, of course, that's on my bucket list. I mean, some old bottles. And
it's a lot of fun.
Find any. Oh, I'd say it is. I mean, but see, the things with bottles, you have to work hard at it. I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy getting them.
I think we got a video Bob digging ink for sissies or
for sissies.
I hadn't seen that. I'm gonna have to go and look that one up. We need to dig some privies. Is what we need to dig.
We do.
Oh yeah.
And Jeff's got a pro.
You got a nice key handle.
Do what?
I was gonna say Tim got a nice key handle for us to check for privies. A probe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've made one. I've got one, but I mean, I rarely use it. I've used it a couple of times, and it's like I don't have the patience. I mean, I give up too easy, I guess.
Well, you need to get you a 4-foot probe, and it needs to be one that's got a tip on the end of it that's larger than the shaft of the probe. And what that'll do is when you penetrate the ground, it keeps the shaft from getting stuck or sticky. And when you pull it back out, you can look at the debris it leaves on the end of that shaft. And if you get into a dump or a privy, it'll typically be grayed or burned or discolored because they would burn a lot in those pits. And you just look for a soft area. But so far, Jeff, the only bottle dumps we found is we got a signal typically, and we were digging a target and got into glass, and then one thing led to another.
Yep.
Sounds interesting. I tell you what, guys, we're going to have to all four of us get together as soon as Tim and Jeff heal from their ailments, and
Yep.
we're going to have to find us some spots that are kind of neutral, about halfway between all of us, and do a little bit of research and get out in the woods and everything before hot weather gets here, and start walking around, you know. And
Yes, sir.
Or even hot weather, we can go down there and hunt on the river.
yeah, I'm
There you
gonna
go.
I'm gonna do
I'd
that
like
this
to learn
year.
how to do that too.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that this year. So, y'all just wells get ready, because me and Jeff's coming down there sometime this summer, and we're gonna have to
We're
have
ready.
Y'all say the word.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're going to have you guys back on, because there's so much more that I want to talk about, but we've already gone over an hour and a
yeah.
half. But certainly do appreciate you guys being on here tonight so much, and look forward to getting to hunt with you and getting to talk with you more. And y'all hang on the line as I close this out. Well, Jeff and I want to discuss a thing or two with you before you get away, but certainly do appreciate your families letting us borrow you for the last hour and a half. It's been a lot of fun, hadn't it, Jeff?
Appreciate you having
It has. It's been real good, and I've learned a lot from just this.
I've learned a lot
It's been a
too.
real good time.
Sure have, and I hope that our listeners have learned a lot. And but anyway, I'm gonna go through one or two things. Thanks Sydney too. Sydney sat here with me and watched the chat.
Yep. Thank you, Sydney.
No problem. We had a
Yep.
good show tonight.
I had your mic turned off.
Yeah, it's been a real good show.
Go ahead.
Well, I could hear.
They could hear me.
I had her mic
Mike
turned off.
Clutter says we have 30 minutes to drive, so he says keep going.
Oh, you got 30 minutes to drive.
He's got 30 minutes to drive. He wants to keep going another 30 minutes.
Plugmaster Ford and Missouri Mike were I think it was the night that we had Plugmaster Ford on. He did that whole show on the road with his cell phone there, and we're talking and everything, you know, and show goes on for about an hour and a half, and so I finally close it out, and I tell him, you know, hang on there, and so I put my outro music and everything, and go ahead and close the show out, and then get on the phone with him. Well, we talked for another 30 minutes, and then all of a sudden he says, well, I pulled in my drive, so I'll talk to you later. Bye. So they were driving the whole time. I tell you what, I think a lot of Jeff and Missouri Mike got to meet both of those guys.
Yeah, they're good people.
They are good people. Got to meet both of them at DIV last year, and I'm still down on the alternate list. I don't know. Tried to get Barb to.
You are.
I tried to give Barb to give me her slot, and she wouldn't do it. Maybe Barb's got some pull with Rose, and John can call them. And I told everybody, I said, hey, the rest of my crew is in, and I'm the one that does the filming and editing. I don't know what they're going to do, you know.
I know it.
But Barb said she forgot about that. Yeah, well, see what you can do for me. See if you can get me in. Matt said, good show. Dave Miller, Duran Sexton was in. We just have so many people forced to net. I don't know if I even mentioned everybody. Dave Miller.
Well, we appreciate every one of them.
That's right, Paul Forsay, and we just had a lot of people in tonight, and we had great guests. We've had great guests every time. But anyway, guys, y'all hang on, and I'll be back with you as soon as I close everything out here.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thanks.
And we'll thank all of you as well tonight for joining us. Want to remind you before we close out here of our 2017 giveaway, Christmas giveaway with Josh Kimmel, Beyond Sight and Sound, and Ohio Metal Detecting, in conjunction with Digging with Seven and Tennessee Jeff. If you go to Digging with Seven on YouTube, you will see mine and Jeff's channel there, and the contest is on that. It's titled 2017 Christmas Giveaway, and that contest will end tomorrow. So you still have the opportunity to register some child 15 years and younger that lives in the lower 48. We're going to give away a Mind Lab Go Find 40 metal detector. What a great Christmas gift that's going to be for some lucky kid. So go and check that out. And as we said, we certainly do appreciate everybody joining us here tonight on RELICS Radio. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on RELICS Radio. We really do appreciate it. Be sure and join us each Thursday night at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's 7 o'clock Eastern here on Spreaker. Take a moment and hit the like button, and be sure that you follow us on Spreaker so that you'll get notifications of all of our upcoming broadcasts. You can also find us on YouTube at Digging with 7 or Tennessee Jeff, or you can check us out on our RELICS Radio Facebook page. If you'd like to get in touch with us, then send an email to diggingwith7@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And we hope that you'll join us next Thursday night. And until then, get out there and dig some history.